You're tuned in to Travel Pro TV, sponsored by World Travel Inc. and their preferred suppliers. Host Connie Wallace and guests discuss everything travel from local to global. Now, here's Connie and today's guest.
Welcome to Travel Pro TV. I'm your host, Connie Wallace, and today we're going to have a little bit of a different episode. We're going to talk about all the things that can go wrong when you travel and how travel insurance can help you. So, sometimes it's funny, sometimes it's not so funny, but imagine that you arrive in Paris and you have your luggage all packed with all the things that you so very specifically shopped for in the past 6 months. And guess what? Your luggage is on its way to Peru. And what you have is a sombrero and lots of Mexican clothes and other things that you can't wear. So travel insurance can help you with that. And that brings me to introducing today's guest, Jim Osborne, who is Key Account Manager for the Northeast for Travelex Insurance. And Jim is the travel insurance guru. So Jim, welcome.
Thanks, Connie.
And tell us what can happen when you lose your luggage and how travel insurance can help.
Well, it's always terrible when you lose your luggage and you end up in your destination like Paris, and somebody like you who has probably a spectacular evening gown ready to use and go to the opera in Paris, and you open your suitcase and it's not your suitcase.
Horrifying.
So what we do is we provide you an allowance to buy some new things, and it's per day until your luggage catches up with you. And that way you are saved.
Perfect.
You might not get to go to Gucci, but you will have something nice to wear.
And you can shop in Paris.
Yes, exactly.
So, okay. So that's what we call the great suitcase swap, and we never want that to happen to you, but if it does, Travelex can take care of you. And then the next one is the mystery meal meltdown, or what I like to call the mystery meal meltdown. Ooh, that's hard to say. So you're trying authentic food in Bangkok, and you think this sounds like a brilliant idea, but your digestive system doesn't really agree with you, and you end up needing to be hospitalized, and this could really break the bank. So Jim, does travel insurance cover something like this?
Absolutely, Connie. All of our insurance offers primary medical coverage, and that means there's zero deductibles for you.
Ooh, good to know.
So if you're hospitalized or even sick and need to go to the doctor, you can pick up your phone, click our app. Our travel assistance folks will find a doctor, find a hospital, and get you there. If you're emergency transported to the hospital, they will arrange that your hospital bill is paid and that you don't have to worry. You'll have the best of care, and when you're ready to get out, resume your trip, and off we go.
You know, I used a little bit of a humorous example, but this can happen in so many ways, in so many places, whether you're on a tour, you're on a cruise, you're in some remote location, and you have some medical emergency, small or large, and it's nice to know that Travelex is there.
You don't have to be in a romantic or far-off location. I myself came to Rhode Island about 25 years ago to visit friends, went out to Block Island and had a burst appendix and spent 15 days in Kent Hospital. How does that sound? Exactly. So I was very lucky to have insurance while I was gone.
Wow, so there you go. And one thing that we talked about when we were off camera that we know, but most people do not know, and I think it's really interesting too that you pointed out to me that it's right there in your passport.
Exactly.
So
if you're traveling in
our
traveling out of the country and you have Medicare or Medicaid, it says right in your passport, item 3, you are not covered outside of the United States. So it's really good to know that you may think you're covered, even with your regular work insurance or private insurance, you are 100% not covered if you're on Medicare or Medicaid. So it's important to know that.
And does that go also for private insurance, private health insurance?
Right.
So
you have to be extremely careful.
All of us who say, oh, I don't need travel insurance, and you know, I have medical insurance, I have Medicare and supplemental or private medical insurance.
Exactly.
No. You do need travel insurance.
You do need travel insurance.
Absolutely.
On the very odd occasion, you might be covered, but 99% of the time you are not covered. So make sure that you are sure and you call your insurance broker.
Very important, very important. Okay, so on to another scenario, weather woes and flight fiascos, which brings me to another point that I want to bring up right now. with the government shutdown that occurred last night, that will impact travel in many ways as well, but there are several ways that travel insurance can help with that too. So what are those things?
So travel insurance can help if your flight is delayed or canceled due to an FAA mandate. We know there's lots of challenges right now with air travel and FAA. So if they mandate your flight is canceled for that, we absolutely will cover you, or you'll be eligible for coverage. Let me just restate that. Unfortunately, if you're I had a friend call this morning, and she's booked to go to the Clinton Library next week in Little Rock. It's closed.
It's closed.
Sorry.
Right.
And because it's closed and it's government shutdown, you're not protected by insurance because it is something that the government did, and it's not something that could not be
But as
avoided.
far as flight delays,
Flights
cancellations,
delays, anything like that, you would still be eligible for coverage.
because
Absolutely.
we know that TSA is still working, however, they're not getting paid.
Right.
We don't know what could happen. Anything could happen. There could be a walkout. We don't know.
Right.
So that covers you as far as your flights.
Yep.
Weather delays. So you booked a once-in-a-lifetime cruise, and Mother Nature has other plans. So there's a hurricane that's reported. What happens then?
So if your cruise is canceled because of a hurricane, you would be eligible for reimbursement. If you're on a cruise and it reroutes you to God only knows where, not where you ended up, and you have to get home, that would be eligible for coverage. So those weather-related issues are almost always covered by your travel insurance.
Great to know.
Yeah.
And really important to remember. So at this point, I just want to say that Travelex is the preferred travel insurance of our title sponsor, World Travel Inc. And any travel plans that you have, please give them a call. They're the best. They are a virtuoso agency, which means that they are the top of the agencies in the country, and there's their toll-free number right there. So there are a couple of new things that you wanted to discuss as well that I don't want to forget about.
No, absolutely. So I always want you to be careful. We talked about health coverage outside of the USA, and again, look in your passport for that. The other thing is when you're buying travel insurance, many of our suppliers or your suppliers will offer health insurance, and it's sometimes at a less cost.
So when you say, excuse me one second, because sometimes we talk and we think that everybody knows what we're talking about. I understand. But the viewers may not. So
let's say cruise line insurance.
So cruise lines, so suppliers to us, we know what that means. It means cruise lines, tour operators, destination management companies.
Exactly.
Yes.
So let's say you buy a cruise line policy. They're great. So a few things they're not going to cover themselves for financial default because they don't think they're going to go out of business, and they only cover the pieces of travel that they book. So in other words, you're on this awesome cruise to Norway. You have a fantastic travel agent, and they book you a private shore excursion. While you're on that shore excursion that's not booked by the cruise line, you're not covered.
Oh, really good to remember. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back because there's so much more to talk about.
Back to Travel Pro TV with your host, Connie Wallace, and today's guest. Travel Pro TV is proudly sponsored by World Travel Inc. and their preferred suppliers. Now, here's Connie.
Welcome back to Travel Pro TV. I'm your host, Connie Wallace, and our guest today is the travel insurance guru, Jim Osborne from Travelex Insurance, and we're talking about all the different scenarios in which travel insurance is essential. And I say that because I want to emphasize the importance of it. In my opinion, travel insurance is always mandatory. So when you're thinking about it, don't think, just take it. So before break, we were talking about supplier, which means cruise lines, tour operators, hotel resorts, insurance versus retail, what's known as retail travel insurance. So let's go back to that a little bit because I think that's important because people feel like if they book a cruise, and a lot of people book cruises directly, I don't recommend it at all. Never book directly with a supplier. Always go through a qualified travel advisor. And of course, we have the best because we have World Travel Inc., who is our title sponsor. And speaking of them, I just want to point out also that they are what I call triple trained. So they are trained by World Travel Inc. They have their own training program. By the way, if you ever want to be a travel advisor, they actually will do a full course for you. And they are also trained by Virtuoso, which is the consortium that they belong to. And then they are trained by the suppliers, in this case, Travelex Insurance.
Exactly.
So let's talk about the difference between booking your travel insurance through a supplier, example, cruise lines, etc., or third party, which is Travelex.
Exactly. So what's really important is, and as I mentioned briefly before, when you're buying supplier insurance,
Happens to us all.
I don't want to denigrate supplier insurance,
Right.
but there are certain things that aren't covered. So for example, a supplier insurance typically will cover you on a cruise line when you board the ship until you get off the ship.
Uh-huh.
And if you
Period. Okay.
And if you're taking a shore excursion that your travel advisor purchased for you or you purchased for you, that insurance isn't valid during that shore excursion because it's not organized through the cruise line.
Oh, but if it is, say, let's just say it's Princess Cruises and
You're on a Princess
you're
shore
booking
excursion.
a Princess
Then
shore
you're-
excursion.
then you're covered.
Then you are covered.
But-
and there are a lot of reasons why, if you're on a cruise, you should really try to stick with the cruise line
Yes and
shore
no.
excursions.
If you want something really special or you want it private, just you and the guide, I mean, we always encourage people to think about doing private shore excursions as well
That's
because,
true.
you know, you want to do something really special, especially if you're in a destination where you want to avoid the mobs. So that's important. However, you are most protected. But what you're not protected from with that supplier insurance, number one, is from when you leave your front door till you
I
get to
like
the ship.
that. So let's
to
talk
when-
about that.
Yeah.
Let's paint a picture
Yep.
of the entire trip and how much travel insurance will help you and where it kicks in. So from the time that you leave your house,
Leave your house. Even if you have an accident on the way to the airport, you're covered. Your trip is cancelable because
Really?
of that. Yes, you'll be eligible for full reimbursement. Then, if your flight's delayed, unless it's purchased, the air is purchased through the cruise line, you're not covered. You get off in, let's say, Europe. You go to a hotel. You spend a couple days. Then you get on the ship. Only when you get on the ship does that insurance start. And we sadly had a case about 3 months ago where a gentleman, they were on a lovely European river cruise. They got off in Amsterdam. They went to the hotel. They went out for a walk. He tripped, broke his hip, and he had to be hospitalized and then medically transported home. It was $500,000. So it's really expensive. And the cruise insurance ended when he deboarded the ship.
wow.
So you have to be really,
Yeah,
really
and
careful
you know,
about that.
you'd be surprised how many times these kinds of things happen.
Yep.
I have a good friend, her name is Fran, and she just went with her brother on a genealogical trip that they planned for a long time to visit her ancestors' hometowns in Poland and the surrounding area. Well, Fran took I think it was an Ambien on the plane so that she could sleep. And when she was getting off, she tripped over her suitcase and threw her back out. And had to actually go to the hospital, get medical attention. Thankfully, she did have travel insurance, which included the health coverage.
Yep.
So
you
really
want to be
important.
protected from door to door.
Yes.
And even if you purchase the supplier insurance, we have an additional policy. You know, for sometimes if you're in advanced age, insurance is based on trip cost and age. So if you're advanced age, the supplier coverage can be very reasonable, but you're still not protected. So then buy what we call a post-departure policy, which just means everything from when you leave till you return, but it doesn't cover trip cancellation. It covers medical, evacuation, all those things. So it's a very inexpensive policy, but you're covered then door to door. So just make sure you're covered. It's not really double coverage, but it will have double coverage while you're on the ship, but then you have all that health and evacuation protection from door to door.
And it's what we in the travel industry refer to as seamless. So we always want
Seamless.
our travel to be seamless in
Yes.
terms of ground transportation, air transportation, of course, or a train, and the experience itself. But travel insurance should be seamless as well.
Exactly.
So let's see my notes here. There's a whole lot of things that are covered. So we talked about medical before, but this is a little bit of a different slant on it. So you're hiking up a picturesque mountain, and it's the perfect Instagram shot. But there's a slippery rock. So you turn your ankle, it's sprained, just to show you that these kind of things can happen even if you don't think you're being adventurous or in any kind of a dangerous situation. Just everyday things. We took my parents on a cruise for their 50th anniversary many years ago, and we're in a port, and my mother turned her ankle and needed to get medical treatment rather, ended up in a wheelchair for the remainder of the cruise. Everything ended well, but again, we had insurance.
Peace of mind.
Yeah, that peace of mind is always important. Okay, so let's talk about something that I thought was really exciting. You mentioned to me that the rates, the travel insurance through Travelex rates, will be going down. They're lower rates after December 1st. Something's going down?
I know.
That's shocking.
Huh? So we're really excited about this. We changed our underwriter to Zurich, which is our parent company. It's an incredible insurance company. And when you start with them, you come out with new rates. And we realized, we did a study after the year, and we're able to lower our insurance rates. So it's really great. So as of December 1st, we'll have new lower rates. And we're very, very excited about that, to pass that along to you.
Oh, very good news.
Yeah.
And again, your travel advisor at World Travel Inc. can help you with all of that, explain what you need through Travelex Insurance, and we'll pass along those lower rates. So we're going to take another quick break, and we'll be right back and talk more about the importance of travel insurance.
Back to Travel Pro TV with your host, Connie Wallace, and today's guest. Travel Pro TV is proudly sponsored by World Travel Inc. and their preferred suppliers. Now, here's Connie.
Welcome back to Travel Pro TV. I'm your host, Connie Wallace, and our topic today is something that you may not find all that amusing, but it's really very important. It's the importance of travel insurance. And of course, we have the travel insurance expert, Jim Osborne from Travelex Insurance. So, Jim, let's talk about adventure coverage, because that's something that you do as well.
Right.
And what does that mean? It doesn't just mean extreme adventure.
It does not. So adventure coverage is very important, and we have what we call an adventure activities upgrade. It's very, very little money. You just add it to your policy. That covers anything that is a little bit more adventurous, like zip lining, things like that. But also snow skiing is an adventure sport. The other thing that's very important to know is anything that has to do with the air and not a commercial flight. With the air. So a helicopter tour, a hot air balloon tour, hang gliding, that's a little crazy.
Oh.
Anything like that, you need this adventure sports or adventure activities upgrade, and it's covered. And it also includes $100,000 in security evacuation. So if something goes wonky in the country where you are, we'll get you out.
And evacuation is so important to have that covered.
Absolutely.
Because that is extremely expensive.
Exactly.
And when it happens to you or a loved one, you have no say whether you do it or not.
It's going to happen.
It's mandatory. You have to do it. So, you know, get ready to go into your retirement account or take out a loan or a second mortgage on your house, because it's really, really very expensive.
Yes.
And speaking of hang gliding, so yes, I could talk about that because that actually happened to me. So it was a long time ago, before I knew any better, that I always needed travel insurance. I mean, many, many years ago. My husband and I were in Cancun, and we thought, oh, it would be so much fun to go hang gliding. You know, one of those tandem things that you both can go together. And, you know, there are two different ways they do it. They drop you in the water, or they catch you on the beach. Have you seen that a lot? You know, like these two guys running and they just stand right there and catch you. Well, they missed. They didn't catch me. I got dropped on the beach. So if you don't think that really hurt, I worked for a cruise line at the time, and I drove around with one of those donut pillows for about 2 weeks after that. So it can happen to anyone at all. So there you go. The importance, the extreme importance of having travel insurance, and really can't overstate that. So just a quick overview for a minute or so. what kind of travel insurance do you need? What does it cover? We know it covers medical, it covers evacuation.
Medical, evacuation, trip cancellation, trip interruption, travel delays, baggage delays, lost baggage. We have upgrades for pet coverage. We have upgrades for all kinds of things, including this adventure activities coverage, security deposit coverage upgrade. We have lots of things to cover. And the most important thing is make sure you're insured from door to door. Peace of mind, even if you buy a cruise line insurance, make sure you have that added coverage that takes you from door to door. That's the very most important thing, because it's not much money, and it's the most important thing you'll ever purchase that you hope you will never use.
And speaking of adventure coverage, there are more and more tour operators and cruise lines that are specializing in adventure, for example, expedition cruises, things like that. That's become very, very popular. Again, we hope that you'll call our title sponsor, World Travel Inc., at the toll-free number that they have dedicated to our show that's right on the screen. So don't forget, it's very important. It's mandatory for you to always have travel insurance, and we're lucky to have the best here. Jim from Travelex. I'm Connie Wallace, and this is Travel Pro TV. Thanks for joining us, and we hope you'll tune in every Sunday.